you?
I'm good. It's such an honor for me to invite you.
No, it's an honor for me to be here.
We have to interview you before you get super duper famous and I can't invite you anymore.
No.
So, Andira, I want to ask
Yeah.
you about the song you make. You have a single called Questions I Wish I Asked You.
Ew.
So tell me a
That's
little
crazy.
bit about the song. What's the song about?
So it's obviously really sad, and like I kind of get I get questions as to why like I chose to like put a sad song out instead of to another song to debut with, but at the time like I was just feeling a lot and like it's about like this person and we used to be in like we used to like be together, and it was like quite a long relationship, and like we like in the beginning it was great, it was fun, as relationships are with like their honeymoon phase and everything, but like yeah, as like our time together, we spent more time together, like we just grew like really toxic, and I just felt like I was doing everything wrong, even though everything that I was doing was actually mundane. Like I don't like, yeah, now that I look at it, I don't think that I was doing anything wrong. But this person would call me out on like, oh, every single time I would hang out with my friends, like it wasn't okay. Every single time that I wasn't texting them back in like an hour, time period, it wasn't okay as well. And I was like, what? But then I felt bad for those things because this person made me believe that those things were wrong. You know what I mean? And like, to each their own. Like you can get mad for what reason, like maybe the things that I was upset for like were, not necessarily things that I should have been upset for. So it's like I don't want to paint the story as if like this person is the only person that was wrong, because I know that I did a lot of stuff to make them feel a certain way, to make this person feel a certain way. So yeah, it's just about like a falling out and like all the questions that I wish I had asked this person, just for closure, really. So yeah,
I like
that's
that word. I like that word, closure.
closure.
I think that like since what happened to us, I want you to introduce yourself and like where you graduate and like how old you are in general. But I think like the most important thing, what I got from the song, because it's on repeat on my phone. Um,
That means so much to me. Ah.
I when I first heard it, when I first heard it, and this is a genuine reaction, I felt like it's like a heartbreak that you wrote, but it's only understandable to yourself. And it's like you have this sort of like telepathical communication with the person you're writing about.
Oh my gosh. If the person that I wrote about, like if this person knows it's about them, like that's the dream, I think. But like in the end, like closure honestly is not everything. You can think like, oh, like after like, it's been a while. It's been so long since like that happened. And it's like every now and then I catch myself thinking like, oh, like, it'd be so nice if like I knew all the answers to these questions. Like it'd be so nice if I knew them. But then again, like if I think about it, I'm still letting that person dictate how I feel because of the fact that like I don't know these answers, and like I'm letting the fact like this uncertainty like drive me insane. So again, time heals. Everything heals with time. It's been a couple months. I'm okay. So yeah, time really heals. Like, above all, like, you just need to focus on yourself. If you're going through a breakup right now, focus on yourself. Don't think about the other person. Just focus on you. That's not, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay, Indira, that's a very like a really good opening because now people know that you have this very sad song that they can listen to and listen to in their playlist. But I want to ask a little bit about you, like as an individual. Maybe you can tell a
okay.
little bit about yourself and who you are.
So my name is Indira Vaswani. Usually whenever I just introduce myself as Indira, my dad gets like really upset. Well, not really upset. He's just like, you have a last name, use it. And I'm like, okay. My name is Andhira Vaswani. I graduated with Esther. We were in the same year. Now I go to King's College London, where I currently study biomedical sciences. Kind of hard, but it's kind of fun. What else? Yeah, I have 2 sisters, 3 dogs. My family's great. Love them. What else should I say? Like, I like to write songs. Yeah, I feel like that's the main way that I guess like release emotionally. It's like a sonic diary. You know what I mean? That's how I like to describe it. But yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell.
That's nice. Very simple, very basic, yeah. Andira, I know that you like to sing. I mean, like since high school, that's what you do
Mhm.
with your ukulele. And then I know that you also do like worshiping in like in IES, right? If I'm not mistaken. Like you're part of the worship team. So how do you like start writing your own songs for yourself? Like did you just hum some melodies, play some chords? Because I feel like different singers have different approach to writing their song. What about you? Like how did you start writing Questions I Wish I Asked You?
So I think like the context is really important too. This is part of the reason like why like I wouldn't release all the songs that I wrote before, because they're just not who I am anymore. They're not indicative of like what, I'm capable of doing, like all the things that I feel. Like I don't feel those things anymore. So that's why I chose to like write a brand new one based on like what I was feeling in this moment in time and then release that. In terms of questions I wish I asked you, for the longest time, I had not been able to like produce anything. I was just able to like make up melodies, make up chord sequences, and like just go with that. And like they all stay in the book. Wait, let me show you the book. Ancient Artifacts, this guy. And
Oh,
I
that
just like,
looks so cool.
yeah,
Share,
I
share,
write
share us what's inside.
I write all my songs in here. Yeah, I write all my songs in here, and like they don't start in this book. They start on like rough pieces of paper, and when like they're confirmed, I put them all in here. And then like I'm a little bit of a like a not a geek, but like a little like tee-hee kind of gal in terms of the fact that every single song is about like someone. If it is about someone, I have like a key at the back, and it like says, it gives like a key as like I can give a special code, and like I write on the top right who the song's about. Anyway, so yeah, every single time someone looks through my book and I'm like, they're like, oh, what is this code? I'm like, nothing. Like it's, what do you don't have to worry about that. Like it's okay. But yeah, questions I wish I asked you. It started with like a sample that I had found for the longest time, because I hadn't song written for so long at that point. I hadn't been producing anything. So I found this piano sample that goes dun 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 dun. And I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is such a beautiful piano sequence. Like I have to use this. So that loops throughout the entire song. And I was like, how I wrote Questions was I just started singing how I felt at the time. And like I recorded it on my phone. Every single thing that I found was good. Every single thing that like I thought like was, oh, this needs to be in the song. I was like, okay, let's put that in the song. And then after I finished making the song, like making the melody, making the lyrics from that piano sample, I built the rest of it. So it was built dynamically with like more layers. It was built texturally with the layers. It was built with different timbres, different sounds, synths, basses. Yeah, yeah. And I'd say it's like really different to how I usually write my songs, because usually my songs are written on the ukulele. They're never written because I find like a sample that I just want to use, or they're written on the piano. So it was interesting. It was interesting to, kind of do it differently this time.
That's very interesting because following again your music journey, I really like your harmonies. I love how you can tail the back of the song. And that's actually a really hard thing to do. It's not like a talent that you just get, you know. It takes a special person to do that, Andira. And I think you did it very well. And I think you know that too.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This means so much to me.
And then
Ah!
for this song that you did, your original song, there's also some harmonies, right? You're like na 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 na. So how do you feel when you listen to your own song? Like, oh, I feel like I should put harmonies in this and that and that. Like, how do you decide to do that?
It's kind of like really based on like I really feel it out. Like everything will be done at that point, and the harmony is like the last thing that I do. So it's just very like, oh, what do you think, what do I think like seems like the most like appropriate places to put it. Because if we're put like, it can be overwhelming sometimes, I think, depending on like how many layers texturally you have in the song. So like I just try to make sure that I'm not like overwhelming, the listener with like, there's all this texture, and then I just put like a ha, in the end, like that's just not necessary. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just try to gauge it out, see where like, parts need more feeling, parts need more, more voice or like more layers to back it up. If it doesn't need that, if the single voice is like fine, the melody is fine, then like the melody's fine. Because you can convey so much emotion, you can convey so much feeling with not even that many, you can convey so much feeling doing it a cappella, you know what I mean?
That is very
As long as you're telling the story, as long as the textures and the timbres that you're using are aiding you tell the story that you want to tell, I think that's the most important thing.
That's very true. And I love how you emphasize on the story and the context. I think music and a song, it kind of just revolves around the context basically to make it really nice and stuff. Now I want to like kind of, I don't know you that well, like when you're little. So I kind of want to ask you a little bit more back then. When did you start singing? Like what age?
I started singing in, I had music lessons. Well, not music lessons. I had like singing lessons when I was like really young. Like, well, but I've always been like interested in music. And I think it's kind of weird because my parents aren't really musical people. Like they don't know how to play any instruments. They're not very, like the only artist that my mom really loves is Mariah Carey. And I'm like, Miss Girl, Miss Mariah, we love her. We love her. We love her. But there are so many different artists that, you know, you could still be into, but Mariah Carey for her is still the OG. But yeah, I started expressing an interest in music. Like when I was really young, we would have productions at church, like all the time. And like, I would join the productions, like, but I had singing lessons initially when I was, I think 7, and they would be on and off really. There was a period in time where I did them like weekly. I'd say like I'm just starting to get off my singing lessons now. Like when I was recording questions, I showed it to my vocal coach and she was just like, you don't sound sad enough. You need to sound more sad. And she made me re-record like vocals for the entire thing. I was like, I put my heart and soul into this. What do you mean I don't sound sad enough?
That's what vocal coaches do. They just comment on the things that are not enough for us. They're like, you can sing, but no, try harder.
Try harder. You need to sound more sad to the point where you're crying. I was like, oh my God, Miss Girl. I don't know. But she's like honestly the best. She's like, I actually yesterday, like I sent her the song. I forgot to tell her that it was out like for a while. And she's like, oh, how's the project? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's been out. Like where have you been? Like it's been out already. Like I have a music video for it. It's like on Spotify, it's on Apple Music. Girl, you need to listen to it right now. So yeah, that's when I started singing, and then like yeah, and then naturally like producing and like, you know, all these different things that like entail doing music and singing naturally followed. And so yeah, that's how I got here now.
So what did your vocal coach said about the music now that she knows it's out?
She was like, wow, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And then like yesterday, I got like a notification from YouTube. She turns out she starts subscribing to me now, so that's great. That's awesome. She commented. She was like, "Oh, we've been waiting for this for so long, and it's finally out." I'm like, yes, yes. Because it's been 6 months. I started producing it in May/June, and I only released it in the new year. So literally everyone around me has been like, you need to release this now. And I was just like going back and forth. I was like, are people gonna like this? Like I was talking to my close friends at the time, like Julian, like Alicia, Rainer, like I was like, people are gonna think this song is stupid. They're not gonna know how to feel. Like they're not gonna feel the same way. Poconya, see? And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't. And then they pushed me to do it, and I did, and I got so many DMs from people that I didn't know about how like they connected with my song, and I was like, you seriously don't know how much this means to me. I thought the song was stupid. I thought that people weren't going to listen to it at all. So yeah, it's just been crazy. It's just been crazy.
So Andira, I actually have this song right now on my phone, and
Oh my
I
God.
realized that your friend did the cover of the song, the art cover.
Yes.
So I don't understand. Well, first of all, I want to know why there's a shark, and then I want to know why you're in like some sort of MRT bus ride. Like I want to know the visual and the interpretation behind this.
Okay. There's honestly, there's not any meaning behind the cover. I was just thinking at the time, I was just like, what should the cover art be, right? And at the time I was really into like all these pastel tones, and like there's like this specific form of like art that's very like color blocky, and it like it focuses on like, it's kind of digital art, and it focuses on using like places in like Japan and South Korea and like that sort of vibe. So I told my friend Nicole, because she usually is used to drawing like anime, and like she was open to commissions. I was like, can you please do this for me? And then she was asking me a lot of questions that I didn't know the answers to. Like she's like, where do you want it to be? Like what reference photo do you want? Like how, like what colors do you want to use? And I was like, girl, just like, you're the artist, use your brush, go to town, right? You're the artist, you make those creative decisions, Miss Girl. And she came back to me with this, which is a beautiful piece of art. For a second, I did not know there was a shark in the back. And I think that like it's quirky, it's a little fun. Like it's some people, they don't realize that there's a shark as well. Once they do realize, they're like, oh my God, there's a shark. And I'm like, yes, there's a shark. But yeah, I just gave her a complete creative freedom, and that's what she produced with. And I'm so happy with it. It's actually like the most gorgeous cover I could ever think of.
I actually thought like, well, maybe I was reading too much into it, but I actually
Go ahead, please.
I
Please,
thought
let me hear.
I actually thought that the shark was like a symbol of the person you're writing about, like their personality. So I was like, wow, Andira, okay, I see you. Like I was reading too much into it, but I'm sorry if it's not what it is.
No. That's what it is now. That's why, that's the meaning behind the cover.
Because the thing is, like, you wrote questions I wish I asked, like right under the shark. It's like literally right under. So I was like, okay, she's being forward. We get it.
No, yeah, that's definitely the meaning now. I'm stealing that, and every single time somebody asks me why there's a shark, that's what I'm gonna tell them.
Andira, this song has 7,973 streams now, which is crazy.
Wow.
That's a lot of people listening to your music.
Yeah, that's a lot of people streaming it.
And how do you feel about it? Like, honestly speaking, like, do you feel like, oh my God, like this is insane? Or do you just feel like, yeah, okay, 7,000, okay. Like, what do you feel?
Oh my gosh, there's no way that's just like, and I know, like, I feel like I look at myself from like an outsider perspective, and I'm just like, girl, like people have like 2 billion streams, 7,000 streams is nothing. But then I come back into my body and I'm like, 7,000 streams is a lot. Like, it's a lot of people listening to this freaking song, you know? And that's just crazy. Like, as I said before, I didn't think anybody would listen to the song. I didn't think anybody was gonna like it. I thought people that would think that I was a joke when I put it out. But like, I'm being proven otherwise. And like, that's like, it's overwhelmingly like, it's so comforting. There's so much comfort in knowing that like, there are people who like the song. There are people that have gone through what I went through, and like, you know, they feel the same thing. And like, I don't know, like collective like emotional vulnerability, I think, is what's happening here. And like, that's just so beautiful to me.
And then I really like how just your YouTube and like your brand, like you as Andira, I like how it's very transparent. Like it's very you. It's like, you know how some people, it's like, let me add like bling blang and all that stuff, which is cool for them if they are like that. But I think for you, like even your profile and everything, it's just you. It's like, I'm just gonna be me and just do a little bit of, you know, good pictures, and then that's it. Yeah, because it's good. I think it's a very raw thing. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, where do you get the idea from?
I think like it kind of just like, well, the main pictures that I used to like sort of like promo the song and like the YouTube video as well. I think like it was very coincidental, because there was a day where I was actually feeling super insecure, like taking all these photos, taking all these videos. I was just like, the frick am I doing? Like, this is not this, what? And like my friend Alicia had done my makeup that day, and like we were just doing our makeup for the fun of it. And then I was just like, oh, like, yeah, let me take this off. I look stupid. And she's taking a couple photos of me, and I was just like, oh my God, okay, fine. So we went outside, filmed everything. But yeah, it was super coincidental. Like, it's like really funny. It's not funny that you say that, like, but it's really interesting that you say like you get the sort of like the raw kind of vibe for me, like that. I really appreciate that so much, because I'm really not trying to, I'm not out here trying to be someone else. I'm not out here trying to like paint myself in a different light, really. Like, if anything, I don't want to compromise who I am just so that people will like me. And like, that's a lesson that you have to learn, I think, as you grow up. Don't let other people dictate how you live your life, and just like do. Every single time I post a YouTube video, there's a thing in the back of my head that's just like, people are gonna still think that you're a joke. People are gonna think this is stupid.
But why do you think that way though, dude? Because I think, like, sorry to cut you off, but I'm just saying,
no.
Whenever you post a video on Instagram or on YouTube, like whether it's music or whatever, I think the thing you post, it just shows you as like a person. Because like, you know, we have other friends that make music too, right? And like professionally, and that's great. But a lot of people have like different style of how they want to present themselves. So I think the way you're presenting yourself is actually very unique and very transparent. So I'm just kind of curious, like, does that transparency come because you feel like you have to be transparent to the world? And like, where does that grounded transparency come from? Because I feel like it's just you.
This is like support group. Like, why do you think that this is the case? Like, why do you think this is a behavior of yours? I'm like, no, yeah. I think that's just like, I treat everything as if like I'm talking to like one of my closest friends. I think the transparency is just like a product of, it's just like natural. It's inevitable, to be honest. Like, again, as I said, I'm not trying to paint myself in a different light here. If anything, I'm just going to use my personality and roll with it. And like, I don't know, it's just like everybody has their own inner saboteur, if you will. And like, mine is just my own self-doubt. So, and like, it literally could be anything. It could be insecurity. It could be something else. But mine just happens to be self-doubt. And I doubt myself all the time. I second guess myself all the time. Like, my inner voice in my head just tells me everything that I create is just like stupid and like not enough,
Girl,
know?
It's okay.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, you know what? If everything I do right now, if it's not enough, then I'm never going to move forward, Not like, you can't just keep striving for perfect, because that way you're never going to get anything done. So yeah, like, it's a start. Questions I Wish I Asked You is a start. Like, even though the voice in my head that's telling me it's still a bad song, it's not. Like, it's not. And so like, yeah, it's a start. And I'm glad that like the start that I've created for myself, that's the product of it, because it's a good song. And like, I'm proud of it. And yeah, that's all I can say. If I'm proud of it, then that's the most important fact, I think. Yeah.
Do you feel like when you were making your art, you felt like everyone was like, oh, this is really good, Andira, your voice is very nice, but you're like, no, it's not. It's really not. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, literally every time. And it's like the same for like performances as well. Like, I'm very attention to detail type girl. So like, it's very, when I make the slightest mistake like ever, it's going to be in my head for like the entire time. Everybody's going to be like, oh, you did such a great job. And like, I'll be like, oh my God, thank you. And in my head, I'll be like, this person is literally lying to my face right now. Like, how could they have not heard that small slip up that I exactly. And I'm just like, okay, but also like, they're not even thinking about that. They probably didn't even hear it. It wasn't recognizable at all. So like, why are you like taking this, you're blowing this way out of proportion, Miss Girl. You need to get back down to earth and like calm down.
Andrea, okay, so my next question is about like what you said about how your mom is inspired by Mariah Carey.
Okay.
For you, who is your musical inspiration? Your top 5 singer that you listen to every day, that you want to be like them, that you're inspired by?
And obviously like, there's too many, and you've limited me to 5.
Yes,
so I'm
you
really
gotta choose, honey. You gotta choose.
I'm really gonna have to choose carefully here. I think it's very contextual. I listen to Lizzo almost every day.
So that's
I'm in love with Lizzo. Yeah. Like, okay, I would also say I love Ariana Grande. I've been an Ariana Grande fan for like ages. There's this new artist that I just discovered called Arlo Parks.
Oh, I knew about him.
Arlo Parks is so talented. The way the songs are written is just, oh my goodness. So Arlo Parks, definitely. There's this other artist that I discovered called Evan McIntosh. Their music, the way that they sing, the way their instrumentation, I'm just so in love with it as well.
You got one more, Andrea. You got one more.
Oh my goodness.
You got one more.
Oh my gosh. I'll do, this is so hard. I'll do Han. I love their music.
So Ariana Grande, and then who did you say?
Lizzo, Arlo Parks, Evan McIntosh, and Han.
Your top 5.
My top 5.
So if someone else, so if any other singer listens to this, just so you know, Andira doesn't like you.
Please, there wasn't enough space to fit you on.
I know that like you mentioned some really great vocal female artists. What do you like about like for example, Lizzo and Ariana Grande? Like, what do you like about them? Is it their branding? Is it their voice? Is it the way they present themselves? What is it that you like about them?
I think I discovered Lizzo at a time in my life where I was just like so insecure. And so like this, Lizzo, she preaches about body positivity, but like not even body positivity, just like self-confidence. And so like her music also is just it's so lively, it's so fun. It like makes me want to dance. It makes me feel good. You know what I mean? So I think like Lizzo definitely the way that she songwrites for the people, for us to feel like, like we're the only people in this world that we should be caring about. We're the strongest people. And just like, she just radiates happiness, that woman. I love Lizzo. And like Lizzo, she doesn't only sing, like she raps as well. And so like, I just really like her voice. I love her vibe. I love her songs. Like there's not like anything not to love for me. In terms of Ariana Grande, I've been a fan of her voice ever since like I was really young.
Same.
I love like who doesn't love Ariana Grande, Like she's just amazing. She's so talented. And like her runs, especially the way that she's so skillful when it comes to like using techniques. And I'm just like, wow, like I want to be able to do that.
She
Like,
mastered really good vocals in such a young age. That's why now she's
yeah,
very successful.
yeah, that's like, it's like, and it's crazy. Like, oh my gosh, like I wish, but like to each their own. But yeah, like I've always been obsessed with her music. I've always loved her songs. And like, I just think it's like great because she like, I describe like her songs as like bittersweet. I think recently, like she's been a little bit more vulnerable with her music, and like, the bitter parts are shown as well as the sweet parts of life, as it should be. It's always like, it has to be balanced, I think. So yeah, that's why I really love her music as well.
That's nice. So, Andira, I actually had Sasha on the podcast to talk about Beneath It All.
Yes, I did. I listened to that episode.
I know that you were also part of the production, right?
Yes, I was.
So can you talk about a little bit about what you do and like your role in Beneath It All?
So it's kind of a funny story because Sasha was looking for directors to help her like bring this story to life. And I was just like, she snapped me one day, and we weren't close at all. So she snapped me and she was like, hey, I'm thinking of like leading this student-led production. Do you want to help direct? And I was like, oh my gosh, of course, baby. Like, I'll totally do it with you. Like, let's do it. And so throughout that whole process, like I was a director, but also like kind of like the music teacher, if you will. Like I was teaching everybody like how to sing their songs, how to sing the harmonies. Yeah, I was just helping out that way. And yeah.
Interesting to me because well, people that know you from school, they know you as a singer because you basically participate in every single school thing, like singing thing that's there. And people that know you from maybe your Instagram or YouTube also know you as a singer, but they probably don't know that you have, other hobbies too in your life that you actually do. So other than singing, what are some of your hobbies?
I really like to run. I think that's really fun. I really like to box as well, like Muay Thai. That's really fun. What else? Yeah, I'm pretty into art too. I haven't been painting a lot recently, but like I really like to paint. I really like to draw and sketch. I don't know what other hobbies can one have. I don't know. I try to read, but I try to read sometimes, but I'm not good at reading. I think I just like it. I can't stare at a book too long and like be entertained by that. I wish I was a book person though. I wish I was a book person. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have that much hobbies. Playing with my dogs, spending time with family, friends.
I actually noticed with you being a singer and like pursuing this side of the media that your friends are very supportive. What about like, and I know that that means a lot to you, and you want people to support you, especially the people that are closest to you. What about like your family? How did they react when you first put out music?
So I'd say that this has been a dream of mine. It's already like a dream that I've been able to put out a song, to be honest. Like they've always known that like I've wanted to do this ever since like I was little. And I think it was like really sad when I couldn't choose music in IB because, I was kind of pursuing biomed at that time. So I had to take bio and chem, which was for my mental health, it was not it. It was just not the vibe at all. But I think that like when I told them that I was releasing the song, they were like, oh my gosh, oh, okay. Like, great. And then so I put out the song and they were like, oh, this is great. This is this is really good. Good job. And I was like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And like my dad, especially, he's very, whatever I make, my mom is going to tell me it's good regardless. And so she's very like, she's not like she's very much biased in terms of my dad. Like, he's very much more critical when it comes to my music. So I played him a song that I made the other day and I was like, what do you think about it? He was just like, you want me to be honest? And I was like, well, I'm not asking you to lie to my face right now. So like he was like, it's not hitting. I'm like, okay, sure. So yeah, like they're very supportive of me, and like I love that. They're great. They're great.
You know what? I realized that in the school that we were previously in, I know that a lot of kids, like just in the institution itself, like our batch, like although we're not really doing the same thing all over, I feel like everybody have like their own special skill, like the things that are actually good at. So do you think that being in that particular environment made you realize more that, like, you know, you have a talent and people hear you? Like, what do you think?
I think that definitely, if I wasn't in the school that we were brought up in, if I wasn't brought up in that school, I don't think I'd be so connected to music as I am now. Because really, I started singing because there was this audition for like the rock band at school, and Mr. who's like a very dear teacher to me now, he was the one who was accepting singers. And so I auditioned just on the whim because like everybody was doing it, so I was just like, peer pressure, I have to do it as well. And then so I auditioned and he picked me, and I was like, okay, fine. Okay, cool. But like, if he didn't pick me, that wouldn't be the start of like the passion that I have for music now. So it's very much, I'm really grateful to our school that it allowed me to like explore so many different options, so many different like things that I could have been into. Music just worked for me. So yeah, I definitely agree with what you said about, you know, being able to hone into the skills that you can kind of like understand that you have once you're in our school, if that makes sense. I feel like I butchered that a lot.
I think it makes sense. So what would you say, because obviously there's still some kids that are, you know, they haven't graduated and things, and they obviously, you know, a lot of people look up to you, and you know that, right, in school. Like, they probably do, you know. I don't think you notice, but I'm sure a lot of people do. What kind of advice would you give them, like as a bigger sister, as a, you know, person who graduate? Well, how would you, if they feel pressure to make music, or they feel pressure to do something and stand up in school, what kind of big sister advice would you give them?
Wow, this is actually kind of like, because I'm actually the oldest sister, so to my other two sisters, if they're listening to this, I guess this is for you. I'm not very big on sisterly advice, so like, here, take it whilst you have it. Honestly, I think don't do anything that feels wrong on the offset. Don't do anything that people are forcing you to do. If it doesn't feel like it's you, if it doesn't feel like it's right, if it doesn't feel like something good will come out of the things that you're doing, don't do it, you know? Because I feel like most of the time it's very, especially like now in like this day and age with like social media and like, you know, insecurities and stuff like that, it's very hard to ignore other people and what they're saying and what you think they're saying too, because it could be all a fabrication. But do things because you want to do them. Don't do things because people want you to do them. Do things, and like also like, don't listen to people when they tell you, you know, oh, this is that way, like, oh, this isn't cool. Like, just because they don't think it's cool doesn't mean you're not allowed to put effort into the things that you think are cool. So don't do things for other people. Definitely do things that you want to do, because if you don't do them, you will regret it. You know what I mean? Try it once. If it doesn't work out, if you make a fool of yourself, that's completely okay. That's fine. You know, we make mistakes, we grow, we live, we learn, we move on, we forget. And yeah, that's just the way of life, really. Just do things for yourself. Don't do things because other people are telling you to do them. And just have fun. Just have so much fun. Yeah.
The transparency again. Really love that. So well, I kind of want to close up the podcast, but before that,
Okay.
I actually find a very interesting lyric in your song. So your lyric, it says, "Who were you before you knew me? Who was I before I let you come in?"
Oh God.
So I want to
Oh.
know, I'm like trying to dig deep, because I feel like this is the one time where people can hear, like, you know, someone that actually writes raw music. So I want to know, when you put that lyric inside, were you thinking that you felt like you had a sense of codependency or like self-identity with this person? Or what was it that kind of sparked that lyric on the song?
So, um, with question, I think also like the answer is kind of dependent on like how I wrote it as well. Cause the way I wrote it was I just put, I literally, I just like was thinking, what are the questions that I wish I asked this person? And I just wrote them all down, regardless of if they rhymed or not. And I picked the most like emotional ones, the most crucial ones that I thought, and I picked them and I sang them. And that line in particular, I think at the time I was really like, it's not I really that I was feeling codependent anymore, but it was more like at that point in our time that we spent together, it was very like I don't recognize who we are anymore. We're two very different people from when we started this relationship. We started this thing, we started being together. And it's like, okay, well, that's not a good thing. I don't recognize these behaviors. You didn't have them when, I first met you. And so who are you now? And like in turn, who am I? Like I don't recognize who I am anymore. I feel like I'm more paranoid. This isn't me at all. And it doesn't feel right anymore. Like it feels so wrong. It doesn't feel genuine anymore. And it feels just like we're tolerating each other because it's easier than, having the conversation about why this is the case. And so we're just like going with it because why not? And that's like, no, you shouldn't do that. Address things. Communication is key. Don't let things like extend for the sake of them extending. Like you need to talk about these things. And like this person was just not it for me, and that's okay. Like I grow. Was I hurt? Yes, I was so hurt. I was so hurt. The pain was almost unbearable. But then like that's okay. I wrote a song about it and then I, moved on.
You have that Taylor Swift like thank you for
Yeah.
making a good record. Thank you next. Ariana Grande.
Literally it's thank you next, but not really.
But do you feel like after you wrote the song and now that it's out there, you already have that sense of like inner peace with you? Like, oh, I've already found my individuality because I wrote the song and it's out.
I think that like in terms of like inner peace, there's always a part of me that's like that will always want to know the answers to everything.
Of course, girl, it's okay.
There's always going to be a part of me that's like never going to let like true closure like set in. But I think, as I said before, like time heals. But like in a sense, like I just feel like sort of like an emotional burden was lifted off my shoulders. You know what I mean? Like at least I couldn't tell this person directly, but if they can kind of gauge that it's about themselves, that's that the mission, if that's the case, the mission has been accomplished. If they know that I was feeling all of these things, then like that's it, I'm great, I'm done. And that's not everything too. If they don't know, then it's not the end of the world. I'm not letting this person, this relationship, what it was, dictate how I am now.
That's good. That's actually a very good mindset to have. Andira, now that you already wrote the song again, and let's say if the person actually, you know what, I can actually really, really relate to the song. This is insane. And I'm genuine. I'm coming from like an outsider and like a genuine perspective because I want to know if I were you and I wrote the song and the person knows I wrote the song about them and they gave you a sort of response. I want to know how would you feel? Because sometimes it's like we're so invested in our emotion when we write a song. It's like, oh my God, like I love you, I miss you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then they're like, hey, I just want to talk. And you're like, no, don't say anything. Like my part. How would you feel if the person would respond to the song in a way where you didn't expect, but at the same time you're like, oh wow, okay, like what to do now?
Yeah. If it was like a public thing, if it turned, I'm not saying that I will, but if it turns into some Olivia Rodrigo, Joshua Bassett, Sabrina Carpenter type beat, that's not the vibe. That's really not the vibe. Because honestly, like I didn't write it to like have a go at anyone. I didn't release it to have a go on anyone. I just wanted to release it because it's been what I've been wanting to do for so long, right? But if said person comes to me and is just like, hey, I'm pretty sure the song's about me. Let's talk about it. I'd happily engage in that conversation. I'd be like, okay, let us unpack it. Let's see what you think. Let's see what I think. Let's see how we've grown as people. Let's get some closure, first of all. And then after we get that closure, we can leave. We don't have to speak to each other ever again. Like I'm done with you for real.
I can't.
But if it really turns into, which it won't, but if it turns into some Olivia Rodrigo, like driver's license, only a matter of time, skin type beat, that's just not the vibe. I'd be so upset. I feel like it'd be angry. But yeah, like it's not, but like it'd be so funny if it did. But
So
like,
would you have the person just keep silent? Like you would just have the person be silent about the situation?
yeah, like yeah, I think so.
Really? That
Like,
gives you closure? I don't understand. Where are you coming from?
I think that like, I don't know, it really like I've gone so long without any answers. So it's yeah, it's it's really okay if I don't get anything, So, yeah, I just live my life to the fullest without these answers.
So Andira, just to kind of close up our conversation,
Mhm.
if the person gives you and provides you the answer you were asking in this question, would you be
Yes,
satisfied?
I think so. I would.
Why?
Because that's like the most direct form of closure that I can. You know what? Okay, here it is. Here it is. Here's what it is. If I got the answers to said questions, I would feel at peace. I would feel complete peace. I'd feel as if that chapter of my life would be finally able to end. However, if this person didn't give me the answers to said questions, I'd also feel okay. Would there be a sense of complete closure? No, but
I
like,
agree.
yeah, like you just have to, life moves on, life goes on, like it goes on regardless of if you have this closure. You just have to move on, you just have to move forward, and that's literally just it.
That's 100% true. Every single word you just said, I totally resonate with everything. So you want closure and you got the closure. Well, right now you kind of do, but you don't really get the closure, kind of.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
So you're saying that to whoever is listening to this podcast, and if you think that the song is about you, you
You know what? I'm gonna cry if like a boy from my past, like a boy from my past thought that this was about like them, and like I'm gonna cry if someone who it wasn't actually about comes up to me and he's like, hey, I'm pretty sure that the
I
song
know,
is
I know
about,
what you mean. I know what you mean.
let's unpack it, I'm just gonna have to be like, dude, you're not it, like it's not you.
But Andrea, do you think that like, because I actually understand how you feel, because obviously unanswered question is not settling here, and everywhere. But do you think that the person didn't give you an answer because it's better for them to stay silent, or does it make you feel like, wow, I'm really not worth the explanation? How does it make you feel?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Now that you've put that in my head, I'm like, what if I'm not actually, what if I'm not actually like, it's
I'm
not like,
sorry, I
no,
didn't mean
no,
to
no, no,
answer
no.
the question.
No, but yeah, like like, there's this fabrication in my head that tells me that like, I'm doing way better than the other person is. And that might be true. But I think that gives me some sense of like, that eases the fact that I don't have the answers. You know what I mean? The fact that I'm doing a little bit better, or just like, success wise, emotionally, everythingly. And that might not be true. This person might be doing way better than I am in all of those factors. But like, the fact that like, I have sort of convinced myself that I'm like the baddest bee that I ever did see. And I'm like, I'm like the,
Dependent
like,
and strong.
exactly, the most strong woman in the world to walk the face of the earth right now. That gives me some comfort in the fact that I don't have these answers. Because if I'm so strong, why am I letting these tiny little questions, beat me up black and blue because I don't have the answers to them?
That's great. Well, I promise you, this is my last question. So, what's one quote you live by that you wish that everybody, or not everybody, but people would listen, know, and take into consideration?
I think one quote that has given me so much like help recently is, nothing moves forward unless I do. Because you can you can say that you're going to do a lot of things, you can talk a lot of talk, but you're not walking the walk. And so, and that even like it even like encompasses the whole thing, like making, like if you're a perfectionist like me, like if you're waiting for things to be perfect, that's you're stopping yourself. You're not making yourself move forward. And so yeah, nothing moves forward unless you do, unless you put in the work, unless you put, like, you have the motivation to do the things that you want to do. It won't move forward unless you do.
I think hearing what you said, like this whole interview, I think that not getting the questions has actually pushed you to grow more, like as an individual. Because like you sound like very mature, and like the way you respond to everything I ask, it's just like,
Oh my goodness, thank you. You know, in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, hopefully like my answers are okay. Like I hope that like I'm not rambling too much. I hope that like I'm still like on track.
you are on track. Don't worry about it. So Andrea, I'm gonna give
Thank
you
you.
time to actually promote your song. So you can promote your
Okay.
song to all these
Oh
people.
my goodness. Yes, everyone. Hello. Hi, if you're still tuning in. I have a song called Questions I Wish I Asked You, and we literally talked about it the entire time that I was on this podcast. So if you would like to listen to it, if that's something that you'd be interested in, it's available on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube Music as well. It's all, the music video is also out on my channel if you would like to check that out. That was a little fun project that I did with my sister and my friend Alicia. Um, if you're, listen to it when you're happy, listen to it when you're sad, listen to it when you're feeling emotions, listen to it, just listen to it if you want to. The link is in my bio on Instagram. My handle is
It's going to be
ANDHHHIRA.
down below. It's okay, Andrea. It's gonna be
Yeah,
down below.
there you go. If you want to find the song, just go to my Instagram. The link for Spotify is on there. But you can also search up my artist name, which is just Andira. So yeah. Yeah, the song is called Questions I Wish I Asked You, and it's a really sad song. So if you're sad and want to heighten that sadness, listen to it.
Check this out and check what she's created
Check out
down
my
below.
song.
So yeah, thank you guys for everyone who's watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, Andira.
Bye.